And so their vocabulary is a little bit on the lacking side. They say this, cook that, this, cook this, cook that. They're arguing back and forth saying, cook, Chris, cook that, cook this, cook all. And so perhaps go study college harder than last time.
Because we didn't graduate college.
Coach Greg, in today's video, the Tren twins launched their brand new supplement line called Feral. And so in today's video, we're going to go over their pre-workout. Now, remember, the Tren twins are able to sell a shit ton of these products because they're the Tren twins. And why are they Tren twins? Well, as the name implies, you got it. Because they're on Tren. And so because they have amazing physiques, because they're more jacked than friggin' last time, y'all are going to watch their videos and buy their supplements. Now remember, the Tren twins will also say this. Just because you use their supplements, you're not going to look like them. I'm not saying don't buy their supplements. You can support whoever you want. But I am going to give you my honest assessment of their pre-workout. Do they have the best ingredients at the proper dosing? Is it healthier, safer than last time? Or is it going to send you to an early grave? Stay tuned to find out.
The first subject for questioning, the Feral stick, a different iteration of it. So this one, we did reduce the caffeine amount.
And so thank God they ended up in the hospital the last time they used their supplement. Remember the video Killed by Caffeine where y'all said that I had clickbaited the title when I literally said exactly what they stated in the video? Well, they've thankfully reduced the dose of caffeine.
I don't know how that happened.
What do you got?
You got,
What the hell, am I bleeding? And so I'm getting more amped up than last time. I'm bleeding through my chest, record a video.
When I overstimmed, there was like stim in the little bit of the pump. There was pump in the stim, and it just became too much.
And so there was pump in the stim and stim in the pump. There's too much of this, too much of that. We're not sure what was what, but now we're selling a supplement.
This is more focused on a nootropic, so you get a steady release of energy throughout your entire workout, so you're not crashing and you feel like shit.
And so we're going to see, does it do what they're saying? Does it have the appropriate amount of nootropics, of stims, not going to crash and burn? Stay tuned to find out.
Why do we keep saying this shit? Shit.
And so their vocabulary is a little bit on the lacking side. They say this shit, that, this shit, this, cook this, cook that,
so cook that shirt, Chris. What cook is that shirt?
And if you want to see a guy who does an amazing impression of the Tren twins, also Coach Greg, Larry Wheels, Chris Bumstead, Sam Sulik, the list goes on and on. Go and follow Zach Mango. And so when he impersonates the Tren twins, what you'll notice is he says cook a lot. They're arguing back and forth saying cook, Chris, cook that, cook this, cook all. And so perhaps go study college harder than last time.
Because we didn't graduate college.
This is just proof that a bachelor degree doesn't mean shit.
And so isn't it ironic that he says, you know, a bachelor degree doesn't mean shit, yet he keeps saying shit and wondering why they keep saying shit, but yet they haven't studied a higher vocabulary.
Every order comes with a free bottle of Tren.
Or you can't
cook.
See, now this is the point where we gotta be grown-ups, okay?
And so the fact that they're making jokes about this, the fact that they use the word Tren so often, whether it's a joke or not, it's promoting steroid use. I don't care what y'all think. If you just say, oh, with every bottle comes a bottle of Tren, people are going to think, yeah, Tren, build muscle, use Tren. When you keep hearing the word Tren all the time, over and over again, you get desensitized. It's not a big deal. It's like when you're a kid and you see Tom and Jerry slamming each other with hammers on each other's heads all the time. You grow up and it's like, it's not a big deal. You're playing those video games and you're shooting each other up and using violence. And so when you see real violence, you're desensitized to it.
That's every meathead's dream is hot rice with protein powder in it. Gluten-free, organic, and just complete carbs. 25 grams of clean carbs, 110 calories.
And so I'm watching the video and it says Feral Hot Rice. It's a supplement. They literally say gluten-free. Gluten-free. They're advertising it. Yet, it's not gluten-free. In the ingredients, it says contains milk and wheat. If you're celiac and you consume wheat, even a small amount can trigger a flare-up. Yeah, I know what you're asking. Well, maybe it's wheat without gluten. It doesn't exist. You can't make it. It doesn't happen. If it contains wheat, it contains gluten. And so how are we saying it's gluten-free when it literally has gluten? Next up, buy my high-stim pre-workout. It's stim-free. Does that make sense?
So I'm really gonna enjoy this last scoop of Feral Pump.
And we're having it on shoulders and arms.
And now, are you ready? We're going over the ingredients in their Feral Stim pre-workout. And so the first ingredient, beta-alanine, 2,000 milligrams in one scoop, 4,000 milligrams in two. This is a great ingredient. Beta-alanine is exquisite. If you're trying to train harder than last time, especially in sets lasting up to a minute or more, it's an excellent addition. Next up, L-taurine, 1,000 or 2,000 milligrams, an excellent dose. This is going to help the caffeine not only work better, but also reduce the anxiety you can get from taking it. So great addition, and so we're off to a great start. Next up, Eleva-ATP, a great addition to the pre-workout. We have the same ingredient in GO2 Max. And why? Well, it increases ATP levels and power output, and so certainly something you want in your pre-workout. And so the next ingredient is called Sen Active, which is essentially an anti-aging ingredient. We don't know if it can increase power output, but it's certainly a safe ingredient, and so nothing wrong with that. Essentially what this does is it improves the mitochondrial function, and so potentially it has of benefits, and so why not add it to the ingredients? And so next up, Trigger 2, it probably does nothing. It's not really shown to have any benefit whatsoever, but if it might do something, it might increase excitatory neurotransmission. And so if it does in fact work, it kind of might maybe work like a stimulant. And so what am I feeling on this? Well, it's a patent ingredient containing two products. It probably does nothing, but nothing wrong with including it in the pre-workout. Will it work? Probably not, but it's not going to do any harm. Up next, uridine monophosphate. This may potentially increase your levels of dopamine and a feel-good hormone, and so maybe this makes you feel better. It's hard to say for sure, but it doesn't seem to have any potential for harm, and so why not include it in the pre-workout? And so up next, we have a triple blend of caffeine. And so what you know is there's 3 different kinds of caffeine that have the same pharmacokinetics. And so basically, they're the exact same thing. And so when you see caffeine, 150 milligrams per scoop, 300 milligrams for 2 scoops, you have to consider all the different caffeines and combine them into one. Because if you're just looking at one kind of caffeine, you might think, oh, this is a normal amount of caffeine. I'm not going to be overstimulated. But you have to consider all of them in one, because after all, you're taking the entire scoop. And so they threw in a bunch of different caffeines that all do the exact same thing. They literally could have just put one kind of caffeine and had it on one line. But I guess if you put different kind of caffeine, you have more things on the ingredient list. A longer list of ingredients may potentially have more buyers think, oh, look at all the things that are in it. It must be better. There's so many different kinds of caffeine, when in fact they all do the same thing. And so what a supplement manufacturer may be in fact telling the Tren twins is by incorporating all these different kinds of caffeine, you're going to have a fast release caffeine, moderate release caffeine, a slow release caffeine. So you're going to have steady levels of caffeine the entire time. This is horse shit. It's bullshit. It doesn't do anything. The only way to have a steady release of caffeine would be to have it embedded as Zoom XR. These would slowly dissolve in the body, allowing for a slowly release of caffeine. And so you can't just say, oh, I have different kinds of caffeine. This is not going to give you a crash. You're going to have slow, steady released energy all day long. This is bullshit. It doesn't work. And so if you look at how much caffeine there really is, you got to do some quick math. You have 150 milligrams of caffeine plus 75% of 60 milligrams, which is 45. That brings it up to 195 milligrams of caffeine. And then 50% of 7.5 milligrams, which is 7.5 milligrams, for a grand total of 202.5 milligrams per scoop. And so if you double scoop that, you're actually at 405 milligrams. That's more than the RD recommends in an entire day. That means no Mountain Dew. It means no coffee unless it's decaf, and nothing else if you want to be safe. Remember, the Tren twins on their last experiment on round 1 end up in the hospital. Please, if you are in fact using this, don't start with 2 scoops. Max 1 scoop should be your starting dose. You do not want to be overstimulated. And remember, this is just the caffeine. There are other stims in this product. Next up, theobromine. Theobromine, based on the literature, has about 50% of the effects of caffeine. And so by including 150 milligrams, it has the same net effect as approximately 75 milligrams of caffeine. And so remember, there were 202.5 milligrams, and now we're up to 277.5 milligram equivalents of caffeine. And so if you double scoop this, you're at over 550 milligrams of equivalent energy of caffeine. If you need to double scoop this pre-workout, you're doing something wrong in your life. You got to ask yourself, what is going on? Why do I need so much caffeine? Perhaps go on a caffeine detox. I used to be the same way. Remember, I suffered the same problem as you. I was double scooping all my pre-workouts. I wasn't getting the energy I needed. I then went on a caffeine detox, never had any caffeine for a month. And when I started back, I would take half of a serving and I was like, oh my goodness, could not believe the energy. And so if you need to double scoop the pre-workouts, and that includes my pre-workouts, if you're needing a double scoop, you are abusing caffeine. And so that's not all. Remember, next up is methylliberine. These are a class of compounds known as xanthines. And you see all these zines and so on, probably a stimulant. It's 125 milligrams at 40%, which means it yields 50 milligrams in one scoop, 102. And so remember, we're at 275 milligrams of caffeine, give or take. We now add about 50 more, and so it's 325 per scoop. Double that, about 650. This is a lot. And so when you take these stimulants, it's affecting not only your brain, it's also affecting your heart. Many of these are dirty type of ingredients. They're not healthy. And when you're consuming these in higher doses, it's not safe. And so by dirty, I mean they're acting on many receptors. The goal would be to act on the brain, to get you amped up in your mind that you want to push and train harder than last time, but it's also having effect on the heart. And so on the heart, with increased electrical impulses, it's going to make the heart beat faster, but on the arteries and veins, it's going to cause them to constrict. And so what you end up with is an elevated heart rate. If you go and train harder than last time, you'll notice your heart is beating perhaps 10 beats higher while taking these pre-works versus if you're training natural. And so my advice, if you're buying this supplement, don't use 2 scoops. 2 scoops is far too much. If you need 2 scoops, there's something wrong with your training. You need to analyze your diet, your sleep. What else are you taking in with your diet? And so another ingredient to go over, huperzine A, 1%, it says 20 milligrams. This is an excellent ingredient. This is going to help to increase focus and mind-muscle connection. And so this is something you want. And so if the Tren twins were to hire me and say, hey, Coach Greg, let's design us a better supplement, what can we do? I would say you need to reduce the amount of stims in this product and increase the others. Because after all, most people are not going to be able to take 2 scoops. And so if you're only taking 1 scoop, you're going to be low on certain items. And so by reducing the caffeine and other stims in this product, or perhaps increasing the rest of the ingredients, it would allow people to get the proper ingredients at the proper doses. And so last but perhaps not least is estrogen. This is just going to help absorb some of the ingredients, not all of them, but some. And so nothing wrong with adding this to this list. And so you can choose to buy the Tren Twins pre-workout, which has overstimulants from certain products. And if you want that, then by all means, go and buy it. But if you want a more scientifically based supplement that's safer and easier to use and more effective, you can, of course, use Harder Than Last Time, Hardcore Pre-Workout, or 3-Workout 3.0. And if you're wanting to go easier on the stims, we, of course, have pre-pumped. Interested in any of these, head over to my website. Hopefully you enjoyed my honest assessment. I know many are going to say, I'm shitting on them, I'm putting them down. I'm giving you my honest assessment. I said what was good. I said what I would do to make it better. They did their best. I don't know if it's the best pre-workout on the market. Of course, it's not. Mine is. But yeah, I get it. I'm probably biased. And so the choice is yours. You can support whoever you want. Of course, it's your own business, your own prerogative. My only advice, if you are in fact using the Tren Twins product, don't start with more than 1 scoop. I don't want anyone to end up in the hospital. You have to be more cautious than last time. The Tren Twins themselves ended up in the hospital. And so please be careful. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the cookbooks, the training books, Circle Diet Book, coaching plans by me and my team. And remember, it's not all about making money. Free diet and training program, multiple ones of these. We got tons. They're close to 50 pages for free. Join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.